Thank you for joining us for the Barbados Today evening news for Thursday, December 21st. I am Mary-Claire Williams. Our top story this evening, Police Commissioner Tyrone Griffith is calling for better management of licensed firearms in the aftermath of last weekend's robbery in Britons Hill. Last Saturday saw a daring armed robbery of a food vendor, during which a licensed firearm was reportedly among the items stolen. Speaking to reporters following a walkthrough of Bridgetown this morning, Griffith did not confirm reports of the stolen gun, as investigations are ongoing. But he advised licensed firearm holders not to have a false sense of security, especially in light of an increased number of gun crimes.
Licensed firearm is not necessarily the answer to any crime. It can be of assistance in foiling crimes, but management of firearms are important. And if you have a firearm, and you still have to be aware of the surroundings, what the things that can happen. So if you are caught off guard, having a firearm really would not be to your benefit. So yes, firearms some people are deserving of having firearms, but firearms have to be managed, and it's not the all into solving issues relating to crime.
Griffith also told reporters that increased police patrols in the city are helping to contain criminal activity.
We've recognized that there's an increase in terms of firearm uses, in terms of crime in the country as a whole. We have put measures in place to address that. We've revamped our gun unit to the extent that they have done some wonderful work, taking many guns that we've seen before off the streets. But yes, that is still possibilities there. There's no doubt that there are weapons out there that can be used in effecting robberies, burglaries, and so forth. So yes, the commercial entities need to ensure that they are aware of their surroundings as well, and make sure that they use whatever security they have. The use of CCTV is important in that can sometimes, if God forbid, if robbery does take place, that it can assist us in getting to the bottom of the matters. So yes, firearm crime still remains of major interest to us, but we are doing things to combat that.
The National Union of Public Workers has called a meeting of its members to discuss the latest offer from government in the ongoing salary negotiations. The union met with the Ministry of the Civil Service last Friday in its latest attempt to reach an agreement. The NUPW has so far remained tight-lipped on government's latest offer, only saying that they need to discuss the matter with their members. A statement from the union today invited members to a meeting on Wednesday, December 27 at 5 p.m. at the union's headquarters to discuss the two scenarios put forward by government for a one-off payment. Construction of the long-awaited beaches resort by Sandals in St. Peter is expected to begin by the end of next year. The general manager of Sandals Barbados, Ferry Ifinger, says preparations should begin during the first quarter of 2018.
Beaches Resort near Spaytown. We had our first meeting regarding the waterworks that was held on December 15th. So that has been presented. It has nothing to do with building the hotel. It's in preparation. So hopefully we can start in the first quarter of next year with that work, and then we will go to the same phase. But beaches is much more complicated product. It's larger room. Remember, this is a family resort. What you see here is great. What you will see at beaches is similar and even better, because we will learn from this resort and we will make it better. Remember, beaches is a family resort. Larger rooms. You will have suites that will accommodate up to 6 people, right? So families with large families that they can come.
Sports now. West Indies women's captain Stephanie Taylor has been named captain of the International Cricket Council's Women's 2020 Team of the Year. She is one of 3 West Indies players in the squad, with Barbadians Deandra Dottin and Hayley Matthews also making the 11. Taylor is one of the game's premier batswomen and has scored over 4,000 runs in 108 one-day internationals. She is now the only woman with 2 T20 hundreds following her performance in the 2010 T20 World Cup in the Caribbean.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Be careful not to become distracted when laden down with bags, as this makes you an easy target. Ensure that your handbags or wallet is secure and keep your mobile phone out of sight. Resist the urge to broadcast that you are not going to be home. When the festivities are over, recycle your garbage and don't leave boxes in plain sight, for burglars will be on the lookout for top-of-the-range equipment worth breaking in for. Call 417-7233.
G4S, securing your world.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back with news from the region. The private sector organization of Jamaica is raising concern over what it says are ineffective attempts to address rising crime. We get more from TVJ News in Kingston.
In a statement this morning, the PSOJ said its members continue to express concerns about the increase in crime levels in recent months, particularly murders. The PSOJ said it is very concerned that the inability to manage the crime wave could cause a reversal or at best limitation of the growth and increased confidence that its members have been seeing in the economy. As we move closer to the holiday season and into 2018, the PSOJ is calling on the authorities to put in place the necessary measures to make this season as crime-free as possible, and also, importantly, to bring back order on the roads, which seem to be a free-for-all, and truly support the view that the man who plays by the rules gets shafted. The statement continues that the lack of law and order on the roads is a blight on the society in general and governance in particular, and strong measures must be immediately put in place to arrest this chaotic situation.
The Caribbean Development Bank has approved over $5 million in funding to support the Anguilla Electricity Company Limited with a complete restoration of its system, which was damaged by Hurricane Irma in September. The storm destroyed poles, transmission lines and transformers, which resulted in widespread disruption of service. The power outage also impacted the water supply on the island. The Caribbean Development Bank also noted that there is a need to address Anguilla's vulnerability to climate change and build its resilience. On the international scene, more than 120 countries today voted in favor of a United Nations General Assembly resolution calling for the U.S. to drop its recent recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. President Donald Trump had threatened to cut off financial aid to countries that voted in favor of the resolution. 128 countries supported the resolution, which is non-binding, 9 voted against and 35 abstained. 21 countries did not vote. Washington found itself isolated as many of its Western and Arab allies voted for the measure. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley said that Washington would not forget this day.
The United States will remember this day in which it was singled out for attack in the General Assembly for the very act of exercising our right as a sovereign nation. We will remember it when we are called upon to once again make the world's largest contribution to the United Nations. And we will remember it when so many countries come calling on us, as they so often do, to pay even more and to use our influence for their benefit. America will put our embassy in Jerusalem. That is what the American people want us to do, and it is the right thing to do. No vote in the United Nations will make any difference on that. But this vote will make a difference on how Americans look at the UN and on how we look at countries who disrespect us in the UN. And this vote will be remembered. Thank you.
And finally, police in Australia say they do not suspect terrorism after a man drove a car into Christmas shoppers in the city of Melbourne earlier today. The man is Australian of Afghan descent who has a history of mental illness. We get more in this Reuters report.
Chaos in the Australian city of Melbourne. Pedestrians strewn along downtown Flinders Street after a vehicle ploughed through a crowded intersection full of Christmas shoppers. At least 19 people injured. But police say it probably wasn't an act of terrorism.
We don't, at this time, have any evidence or any intelligence to indicate there's a connection with terrorism. And I just want to reiterate that. At this time, we don't have any evidence or intelligence to indicate a connection with terrorism. Having said that, however, we continue to support this investigation with our Counter-Terrorism Command to ensure that there isn't that connection and that there is no ongoing threat.
Police say they have detained the 32-year-old driver. He's reported to be an Australian man of Afghan descent who has a history of mental health issues as well as assault and drug use. Eyewitnesses told Reuters the car was travelling at high speeds as it drove into the intersection.
That's news this evening. Remember, you can get more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and on Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM. I am Marie Claire Williams. Good evening.